This is Robert Clotworthy, the narrator of The Curse of Oak Island. And I have a question for you. Could it be that you are listening to The Curse of Oak Island and Beyond live stream?
This is a top pocket find, mate, for sure.
Hey, how's everybody doing? All right. Yes, a top pocket find for sure. So, man, good night tonight. What do you think about that show last night, Jack?
I liked that show last night. They moved around an awful lot.
Yep. So let's see. Well, we got a few people showing up in here. Hey, give us a shout. Let us know that you are here. And we'll get things rolling here in just a minute. All right. So let's see here. We got a few people showing up here. Let's see. And we're a little bit ahead. There's Pam. How you doing tonight, Pam? Glad you're here with us.
John Francis with us.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we got some few people on the YouTube side coming in.
Oh, Jan.
So, yeah, we have Jack Campbell here as my co-host. And, of course, I'm Jeff Freeman. We have Linda Simpson out there working the chat everywhere with everybody. And, of course, Jan did a great synopsis again this week, as always. That was wonderful to see. I tell you what, and so often I have to refer to that because trying to get my show notes together, that's always wonderful. Hey, Don, how you doing? Jan, again, thank you so much for doing that. Chris F. over on the YouTube side. Hi, Chris. Hey, folks, too, I wanted to just tell you again real quick. I know I've been, mentioning this quite often, but for those of you that are watching on the YouTube side, we really appreciate it so much. And if you would, we just ask that you would go down and click down on that subscribe button that's down there in the corner, the little red button, and give us a thumbs up. If you like our content, we appreciate that very much. We are trying to get as many subscribers on there as we can, and that just helps us out. We really do appreciate it so very much from you guys to subscribe. So anyway, so we'll let that go. So let's see. We had some interesting things on the show tonight. I guess we'll just get things rolling with the swamp. They got going with the swamp as they do quite often. And I'm going to bring up a picture here that I've got. All right, here we go. And so they brought out Terry Deveau, and Terry Deveau, if you remember, was on, I think in 2015 he was out. I don't remember exactly what show that was, or what season that was, but they brought Terry out, and this time they brought Terry out so that he can have a look at the stone road and kind of give his assessment. And he was out talking to Rick and you know what? I got an idea. Why don't we just bring Terry on and let him tell us himself about the stone road? Hey, Terry.
Welcome, Terry.
Hi there. Good to see you, Jeff and Jack.
We're really excited to have you on the show tonight. So yeah, it was kind of neat to reach out to you and then have you come on tonight. So that was great. So yeah, they brought you out to come out and have a look at the stone roadway that they've got there in the swamp and to kind of give your assessment of that. So if by all means, let us know what you thought and give us a little talk about that if you would.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it came across to your viewers when I first saw that road, but it really blew me away. I mean, I had no idea what to expect. They told me they wanted to show me something, and I came down there, and the road was absolutely amazing. My heart almost stopped when I saw it.
Really? Yeah, I know this. We've been excited about it ever since they first started to clear it off, and of course we weren't sure if it was some sort of just a platform or something like that, but now it's turning out to be a definite road, and that's your assessment as well, right?
Well, I mean, there are other things it could be in theory, but the road is sort of the obvious explanation. Like if it's not a road, then, it's a little tricky as to what it is. But I mean, it seems like obviously to be a road, but I mean, I guess it could be something else.
Mm-hmm.
It's not impossible that it could be something unrelated to a road, like a causeway or part of a dock or part of a boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Possible, but just the obvious explanation is that it's some kind of a road.
Right. Now, and then there was a section of it they had cut out, like a square hole that looked like it was maybe, 3 feet by 3 feet, so that they could see the sides and see its construction. Now, what did that reveal to you?
Well, it did two things, I guess. How thick the roadbed is, and made up of, they said on air, 3 courses of stone, which it's hard to really measure the number of courses of stone like that. But, it's not just one course for sure. Like there's at least 3, I guess. And the stones are fairly large down there as you get towards the bottom. But the second thing is that at the bottom, there's kind of a peat layer, which again, I believe they said that on air last night as well. So that shows the conditions that were present on the ground when the stones were first put there.
At the time, yeah, that really would. And so, go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
When you were there, I think you said you thought it was a road because of the width, because it had to be at least 5 feet wide. I think you said it was 6 because of the oxen coming across and everything, right?
Yeah, the point I was trying to make there was that if you were not going to use it for carts, then why would you make it so wide? If you just were going to, use it to walk on or maybe have a bridle path, it wouldn't need to be that wide. The fact that it was widened out to about 6 feet, and when I say 6 feet, I'm referring to the small cobblestone section,
right?
Kind of like a pavement, which doesn't go the whole length of the road at this time. Maybe it did originally, but at this time it's only confined to a section of it. So that is the part that's about 6 feet wide or so. And my point was simply that the fact that they made it 6 feet wide indicates they wanted to use it for carts, because if it wasn't for carts, then you might not need it that wide.
Right. And I do have a picture you had, and I tell you what, I have to thank you so very, very much, Terry, for not only being part of our group, but the addition you bring to the group with some of your research. You had a really long explanation, and I had taken a picture of that, and we were going to put it up here. And then when you agreed to come on, I was like, okay, I don't need that now, so you could explain it. But I did want to bring up this one picture here that you had on the bottom of your post, and it shows a possible type of a cart that would have been used. This kind of gives everybody an idea. The large wheels would be more adapted for that type of a stone area to get over those stones pretty easily. Is that
I mean, obviously these carts have been used for hundreds of, probably thousands of years, and people make them with different size wheels. Like this particular illustration is probably something that was used in town, like to deliver groceries or stuff. So the wheels are pretty small, but believe me, they made them with bigger wheels. And the one that I illustrated as well is the Red River cart, which was popular out in Manitoba and that area.
That one I didn't get a picture of, unfortunately, but it is out on our group site. So
yeah, it's basically the same thing, except with wheels twice as big, like about 5 feet wide. So obviously, the bigger the wheel, then the less trouble you have going over rough terrain. That's the whole point of having a big wheel. More expensive to build one with a big wheel, but it does work better on rough terrain.
Yep.
And the other point, I guess, for those of your listeners who are not that familiar with carts like this, is the fact that they're two-wheeled. Like you might think, oh, well, he was only a poor farmer. He could only afford a two-wheeled cart. That's not necessarily true. The two-wheeled variety were far more adaptable and maneuverable to rough conditions. Like where I live in Nova Scotia, the British began settling here in about 1750 in the Halifax area. They were present earlier in Annapolis Royal, but at that time, it was basically a military town, and they started building roads right away, but they made them very, very roughly. And those two-wheeled carts were literally the only thing they could use. They could not use a four-wheeled cart. I mean, that's historically documented, that the boulders and stumps that were left behind, even though it was an official road, was such that it would just tear a four-wheeled cart to shreds.
Right. And that's
they used more oxen than they did horses, correct?
Well, farmers use oxen. Yeah. So whether the activity, I mean, we know oxen were used on Oak Island, but Oak Island was heavily farmed back in the 1800s. So the ox shoes they're finding now, it's possible they all date to that later occupation, the historical occupation. I don't know, but they were never found that deep, right? They were found with a metal detector like less than 6 inches below the surface. So they probably date to that more recent farming period. At the time that the road was built, whether oxen were used at that time, I don't think, in my view, has not yet been established. I mean, maybe they were, but it's possible they came there with draft horses or maybe just human labor. I don't know, but it's hard to say.
Right. And especially if they're bringing them over, if it, and you had mentioned on the show about the fact that you didn't think that it was indicative of other stone roads, like you just mentioned, that were made by either the French or the British. It was a different type of a construction from what you're used to seeing of those roads made by those two, either the French or the English. So I remember you had mentioned that also, and then you kind of gave a little bit of a date to it. And I know that's got to be impossible. I know Rick was kind of putting you on the spot to get it if you had to. He said, so was that, you still agree with that assessment on the dating you gave to that?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, if you've got an individual person or a project, you could do something at any time in any way you want, right? And so who knows? But if you're going on probabilities, to see, if somebody said, okay, there's a road here and it was made by the British in the 1700s, then the probability is pretty high that it's going to look a certain way because we know the sorts of things they usually did. Right. And similarly, if somebody was to tell me, okay, I've got an Acadian road on my property, and the Acadians were active in Nova Scotia from the early 1600s up to 1750s and 60s, I'd know what to expect because I've seen those, and I know how they were made and so on. So the point is that this road does not fit either of those classifications. It's built in a very different way. Now, that doesn't prove that it couldn't have been done, in the 1800s even, all on its own. But it would be very unusual for someone to do that. We just don't find examples of it from that time period. So that's why I said, I would expect that the road would have been constructed prior to 1600, like in the 1500s or earlier, simply because people were not building roads this way in the historical period for the most part. Like I can't say, for sure no one ever did make even one single road out of stone. Maybe they did, but I haven't found it yet, and I found plenty of other ones that were built, the way we expect. So this one was really unusual. Now, having said that, there are some roads that I'm familiar with that were built somewhat like this. Really? But they are very enigmatic. No one has yet been able to figure out how they got there either. They're not historically documented. So this might be the only example, but it certainly is, very exciting find that they have there.
Absolutely. And I know some people have, like I said, they have written it off, the road off by saying something to the effect of, oh, well, it's the British. The British were using that. And I think I even mentioned it myself, that it could be that, a road that was built by the British to bring the boats in and use it from the pine tar kiln and take pine tar down to do some boat repair work. And they were using that. And so that was, trying to put that together, but it's a possibility, or that it's possible that that wasn't the case at all, that it was definitely there before they even came to Oak Island. So I guess that's what really interests me in the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly. And, the British were very active in Nova Scotia doing military works and stuff. So we have plenty of examples to go to where they built forts and other things like that and look at the type of things they did and then do anything like that. Not that I've been able to find.
Right. So I'm looking at some of the people there, there are a lot of people are jumping on going, wow, Terry's here. And one was Tom Burns asked, he said, I wonder if the road looks like the original built. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Wonder if the road looks like the original build was untouched, or could it have been modified over time?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I think I mentioned that in my post there on the site today. The cobbles, right? I mean, right now when you look at the road, I think overall it's about 12 feet wide.
Right.
If we're going to use feet measure versus meters. The part that has cobblestone pavement on it is about half that width. So let's say about 6 feet wide. Now, it would make sense that the whole length of it had a similar type of pavement. So why is it not there now? See, I think there's pretty good evidence that the beach that is there now, on which a modern road exists, that the Leginas and others there on Oak Island have shored it up with armor stone and so on for several years in a row, because it tended to wash out from winter storms and stuff. But that whole beach and gravel and boulder berm is a natural deposit that occurs in many similar islands and other places along the coast of Nova Scotia. But those things don't last forever. They come and go. And it's very likely, in my opinion, that when this stone road was built, there was no beach there. There was no berm. It was open to the Atlantic at that point.
Right. Yep.
And so that being the case, as we are very familiar with, in the winter, the storms come in and they can do a lot of damage. So it is totally within, really an expectation that the pavement could have been washed out, to an extent, up to a certain point. And so we're left with the part of the cobble pavement that was not washed out, but the rest of it was. So that it seems to make sense to me. I mean, obviously I can't prove it, but to me, it's a very reasonable explanation why there's cobble in part of it and not the whole thing.
Yeah, most definitely. And, and then we also know that they had earlier in the season, they were out there in the boat and they had Tony Sampson actually dove out there and was looking to see if there was anything outside of the road that they built on the bottom of the swamp there. If there was anything in the ocean out there just off that coast that might tie into that. Of course, they didn't know. I don't know if they knew about the stone road at that point. They might have. But looking for something out there. Now, it would make sense, like you were just saying, that it might have extended out into the ocean a ways. So there should be some evidence of that. But again, like you said, from storms over year after year after year may simply have washed some of those smaller rocks away. And left you with the larger ones that were right there by the road. That totally makes sense. One thing I also wanted to ask was about underneath. There was some question by Ian Spooner initially talking about the cribbing of the wood underneath the stone. Did you see evidence of that as well? Or
yeah, well, when I was there, it had mostly been taken away. I think there might have been a few pieces of it still there, but I think they excavated that before I arrived.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that too.
Well, that's an important, part. Like, I think we're all of us who watch the show carefully are hear Dr. Spooner's carbon dates on that wood from underneath the road.
Yes.
I don't know if that's being saved for an appropriate moment to reveal it, or if
it has to be. That's all I can think.
Still working on it. I don't know, but yeah, that's going to be a big thing when we hear about that.
Right, because
that dates right all the way back up through the stones and everything else done when it was put in. That's the original.
Right.
Start of the road.
The thing is, when you have something like wood that is directly associated with the construction of it, and you can carbon date it, it hasn't been contaminated or there's no other issues with carbon dating it, that's big.
Absolutely.
That's very reliable.
Yep. And we know that they the stone feature that they found last season, and I'm going to bring this little picture up here real quick. This is taken from yesterday's show, but the stone feature that they found, last season, which I believe was right in this area here, where they found that stone feature, they've gone past it now, and it looks like they may tie together. Now, this stone feature, that's where Dr. Spooner had found that piece of wood that was down between the rocks. He took that out, and he said he was very excited to find that, because he said now we can date when this was built, because this stone or piece of wood was actually crushed between the rocks, and then that dated to be like 1220
or 20.
Yeah, so that was, and again, that was in this area here on the map, which is just I call this Nolan's Peninsula. but it was just on the northwest side of Nolan's Peninsula. So now they're working right here in this area, which is basically tying that all together now. So if this road feature goes from down where the main part is, which you saw first, and it actually extends all the way over here, again, that's bringing up this big story of what in the world, where did it go? And what were they using it for? So it really opens that all up as to, we don't know yet, I guess, but we're going to find out. Hopefully we'll get some answers to that. And does the section over by the main road that they built tie in date-wise with the wood that Ian Spooner will be getting, tested? Hopefully that dating will be about the same, and that puts it back to, 1200s. That's incredible if it goes back that far. I mean, who would have built it back then? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I mean,
if it went back that far.
Yeah, I don't want to speculate. I mean,
many of us want to say Knights Templar did that, but that's just jumping out there with a speculation. But
yeah, I mean, in fact, if you were watching the show last year when that date was revealed for the other stone platform, they zoom right in on the lab report, and if you freeze frame and look at it, it doesn't say 1220. It says something like 1100 plus or minus 120. So 1220 is actually the younger limit of
right.
So chances are it's even older than that, based on the carbon 14. But anyway, the other thing to keep in mind though is that things are never as simple as you think they are at first. Like in your discussion there just a minute ago, you talked about 3 areas where stone road-like features have been found, like the main one that we started off with, and then the platform from the previous season,
right?
Then some type of stonework linking the two. So that's all fine, but they don't necessarily have to be part of the same project even.
Right.
And there's also vertical element to keep in mind, all right? Because there's some photos that have circulated. Gordon Fader is one of the ones who put out one copy fairly recently, showing a power line and a electrical service road associated with the power line from the early 20th century that basically runs along that edge of the swamp where they're now finding a road. But they are going deeper, right? So, there's could be 2 or even more roads along that alignment, at different depth levels. A modern one from the 1930s, and then beneath that, there may be a stone paved one. So I wasn't involved in much of that, so I'm just going based on what I saw on the program and what I've seen, like Gordon posts on the web and stuff.
Right. And we saw that one post. It was a couple episodes ago before they actually got digging this far to find the roadway there. They actually found a post or a log that had a spike sticking out of it. And Gary had originally found it with his metal detector. And so they went in there and started digging up. And Linda and I both, Linda was like, kind of looks like a telephone pole. And that's one of the spikes sticking out that you would climb up the telephone pole. And then we never heard about it again. So we're thinking, maybe it was. So that's what.
And there were 2 more spikes in that one also later on.
So, and I thought, but I had no idea that there had been a power line maybe running through that area. So that's a good likelihood that maybe that was.
Yeah, well, there were definitely power poles along that alignment. I don't think there were spikes in it for the purpose of climbing. Every power pole doesn't have those type of spikes in it. And these ones I don't think did, but they did have cross members to support them. So there could be large spikes used to nail
that makes good
cross supports or other reasons why large spikes would have been hammered into them.
Right. Very good point.
So it's within the realm of possibility.
Yep. Yeah, Linda said those weren't spikes from a power pole. Okay, thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. But this is nice having you here because we can speculate all you want, and you bring a level of expertise to this, which, obviously I don't have.
I know I
That's
don't
really
have.
neat. Yeah, that's really interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up. So also, when you were on the show initially, this was back, and again, I know it was 2015, I believe. And you had taken the crew out to the what I call the Overton Stone. I don't know if that's officially the name given to it. So now that I have you here, do you mind talking about that just a bit?
Sure, no problem.
And I've got a picture. Let me see if I can get to it here. Got a couple pictures of that stone. Oops, no, I've gone past it now. And this was really interesting because I'm fascinated by it. I really am. And and unfortunately the pictures aren't that great. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up here. And this is, I guess this is what, about 100 and this is not, it's about 100 and some miles away from, about 140 miles away from Oak Island. Is that correct?
As the crow flies, yeah.
Okay. And then, so as you were explaining here, it looks like we see the tobacco leaf and the cross here, but you were explaining that may be a Portuguese cross, actually.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's hard to say. I've been to Portugal, and I specifically was looking for crosses like this on my trip, and did find a lot of them. If you search the web looking for images of this type of cross, you can find them in other places, but they're far more plentiful in Portugal than in other places, in my opinion. Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's not proof, but the thing is. We do know for historical fact that the Portuguese were active in exploring Nova Scotia and mapping it from the early 1500s until possibly as late as 1580. I mean, we don't really have a cutoff date. In 1580, Spain conquered Portugal, and that kind of brought the period of Portuguese activity in the New World to an end around that time. Certainly in Nova Scotia, but it may have been dwindling before that. But anyway, so you've got the 1500s, when we do know for a fact the Portuguese were traveling around Nova Scotia and making maps of the place, and there was a number of Portuguese artifacts from that period that have surfaced over the years, and there's historical documents that refer to the fact, especially Champlain's writings. There's a number of places in there where he refers to what he then knew to have been Portuguese activity, in the preceding 100 years.
Mm-hmm. And then there's a little bit of a close-up. I don't see how well that comes out, but that's a little bit of a close-up of the cross. Now, when you mentioned it being, more like what you would find a lot of in Portugal, with the four dots and the circle around it, is that all part of that same image that you would see everywhere, or is?
Yeah, there's versions of it. Like one that I like to reference is the tomb of Henry the Navigator, who on the bottom of his tomb there's three large circular icons, and one of them is a similar cross, and there's stars around it, like roseate circles that look kind of like stars. It's very reminiscent. I've got a link that I sent you in an email, which if you want to make it available to your members, feel free.
Okay.
It's an article that I wrote about this Overton stone, and it has that image inside the PDF of the tomb of Henry the Navigator, as well as some other maps and so on that your readers might be interested in as well.
That's fascinating. And we just love the fact that not only were you on the show back then in 2015 and talking about this particular stone, which, like I said, and if I remember correctly, it might have been, something referring to the maybe a friendship between the Mi'kmaq, I guess, and maybe the Portuguese, if that's the ones who were here, and kind of showing this and depicting their meeting or whatever. Was that what this kind of was? You were thinking on that? Was that? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, you are. There's a lot to the story. I mean,
More than we got time for, I know tonight.
yeah. It's a very complicated thing. I should mention, though, in all fairness, that this particular stone is on private property.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't posted at the time that we did this show, but the owner has since posted the property, and he really wants to protect the stone. He's dedicated to protecting the stone from any damage. So no one's able to go to it now unless they have the property owner's permission. But it's if you look at the bottom of that picture underneath the cross, do you see the darker area? The
Yes.
bottom?
Yeah, right down in here.
That's exactly right. And if you look at that in person, it has a very different texture than anywhere else on the stone. It's much, much fresher and really looks like somebody took the head of an axe or a hammer and banged off that part.
Oh, wow.
And I can't help but wonder whether there was originally a date or a name there that somebody on purpose defaced it. Now, it could even be back in the 1600s when the French claimed the territory. If there was something that identified this as a Portuguese, land claim, they might have loved the artwork enough to say, well, we don't have to destroy the whole stone. Let's just take out the legal element, of the date. Maybe. I'm just totally speculating here.
Yeah, right. But that makes sense. I mean, why would they do that? Why else would they?
Right. Are you as surprised as I am? I know Jeff is too. When we start talking about Oak Island or here, there are so many countries involved. I mean, every time you turn around, there's Portugal, there's France, there's England. I mean, it just goes all over, it seems like, in this area.
But it's not just Oak Island. All of Nova Scotia is like that. There's history. Nova Scotia, if you look at a map of the Atlantic Ocean, Nova Scotia kind of sticks out into the Atlantic Ocean, and it almost sticks out into the Gulf Stream, and you have the trade winds and so on. So, yeah, Nova Scotia has been a crossroads, ocean-going crossroads for millennia.
Yep. Yeah, that's for sure. And that, and that's something we've talked about on the show before is the fact, or in the group as well, is the fact that so many different members of different countries have been through this area, starting, all going back to the Norsemen, the Vikings being there, and then, leading all the way through the years of all these other people that we think have crossed paths on this. Now some people don't want to believe or don't believe that the Knights Templar went through here. I am a person that does believe they were, but again, we don't have that definitive evidence to say that, but there is evidence to show, like you were just saying, that Portugal has definitely been here. And we know pirates and the British and the French, of course. So,
Yeah, well, let me just talk to that for a second, because that's something that comes up a lot from the particular episode where this photo comes from. I'm pointing out the cross on air, and I say, so this looks to me like a Portuguese cross. And Marty says, oh, you mean a Templar cross, right? So this business about the Templars comes out a lot. And the thing is, Portugal had Templars. It was it's probably the biggest place where Templars existed, originally. They had their castles there and fortresses and stuff like that. And eventually the Templars were dissolved, right? When they were made legal and so on.
Right.
At that time, the King of Portugal got an idea. He said, well, why don't I, appeal to the Pope and get permission to take over all the Templar assets for myself, which he did, and he did. So not only the assets, not only the buildings that were Templar in Portugal, but also the actual people who were members of the organization, they became the Knights of Christ under the King of Portugal. So, some people say, well, that was just a name change. It was still the same thing. They were still Portuguese Templars. But really, it was a totally different situation, because prior to that, the Templars were an autonomous organization. They were under the Pope, sort of, but they pretty much did what they wanted anyway.
Yeah.
After the, in the period of the Knights of Christ, it wasn't like that at all. I mean, they were under the King of Portugal. He was the boss. And so if you want to call them Templars, people do say that, but really the Knights of Christ were a totally different organization. So I don't personally consider the Knights of Christ, quote unquote, Templars. It's a different organization as far as I'm concerned, but other people feel differently.
Right. That's a very good point, and I'm glad you brought that up. You know what, Terry? I know you said you couldn't stay long, and I really do appreciate your coming on. This has been fantastic, but we've got to have you come on another show at some point.
Honestly, we got to have you on a Saturday.
Oh man, yeah, on a Saturday show. It doesn't have to be long. We could just do an hour, maybe, or whatever you feel like. But at some point, we'd love to have you come on and really be able to discuss some of the stuff like this that you're just telling us tonight. I could see a show in this, and I'd really love to have you come on when you have some time that you could. I know this was a last minute thing tonight, but that'd be great. If you agree, would like to do that, we'd love to have you on.
Oh yeah,
sure. Anytime we can talk about this for hours. Never ends, does it?
It never gets old.
Yeah, like we had Alessandra Nadavari on the show, and again, she's was wonderful to talk to about different things, and also Gretchen Cornwall. That's actually going to be joining me this week, and I'll be talking about that some more as we go along. But she's Knights Templar, and she's got so much research that she's done as well, and it's just fascinating. I'm so fascinated by the whole thing, and to hear you talk about that, the Knights of Christ, and being a completely different organization. I kind of knew a little bit about that, but I wasn't certain. And having you back that up with your research that's the kind of thing that I love to find out about. And I know that our members do too. So this is wonderful.
Right. So make that link available to your members that I sent you in the email, because it goes into all of that with historical, references and everything. So if anybody wants to get their facts straight, I think that's, a place you can go. And it's not as if you have to read like 100 pages or anything.
Right.
Fairly concisely summarized, I think, in that article for anyone who wants to find out a little bit more about it without making a career out of it.
Yeah, I will definitely be putting that up there. I'll share that with Linda, and we'll get that put on the page for sure. Oh, this has been great. I didn't know if you had anything more you wanted to talk about. I could have you on here all night, but I know you said you don't have that time.
Yeah, well, let's do it again another time. But thanks a lot for having me on. It was a real pleasure.
We appreciate it very much. Thank you
very much. All right.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye. That was fun, Jeff.
Wow. What an interesting man, and so much stuff he has to share with us. My goodness. And I know, it's so funny because, Linda, for you members tonight, I know you're happy that he was here. It was kind of funny how this all came about. We were talking about the show and about how, I was going to start off with Terry and his being on the island. And we know that he's in the group and he's very active in our group. And man, oh man, that's just wonderful to have researchers that share so much stuff with us like that. And then, I reached out and I just thought, well, she said, well, ask him. Because I said, man, it'd be great if he'd come on and explain this. And she goes, well, ask him. So I did. He's like, yeah, I'll come on. So, well, that's just wonderful how that worked out. So anyway, so that was really great. So we'll have to definitely have him come back on and spend a couple of hours with us just talking about the research that he has done on the island. So, all right. Wow. I'm thinking, how do we get back to what we were talking about now? Okay. So having Terry out there, and I did have some other pictures that we were kind of working on the swamp there. And I did show this one. Oh, it was kind of interesting to see. I'll bring this one up real quick. Mr. Marty with his boots on and his shovel.
And a shovel.
And we don't see him out there too much, do we? Digging in the dirt. We see him sometimes in an excavator or standing around, looking at what they pulled up out of the money pit or something. But we don't see him too often with the boots on and his shovel going there. I thought that was kind of neat. And this is the gentleman behind him, I think, is John Winters. That was, and it's kind of neat for the guys that work with Billy Gerhardt. Or work for Billy Gerhardt to come on and get a chance to work on an island. What what an experience, huh? I mean, here's Billy, and you see your boss, out there on the island, and then one day he comes to you and he goes, "Hey, you guys want to come out? They need some more people to like dig and do whatever, and and be on camera." But I mean, the fun part is you get to be part of the search for the treasure. I'd be like, yeah, I'd be out there in a heartbeat.
I mean, you think of that, and I remember when you interviewed Vanessa, she always had somebody different come out just to give them, that experience. I mean, the thrill.
Yep. So they all got a chance. Yeah, that was really neat when she said that. Yeah, she was talking about that exactly, about people having an opportunity to come out and experience it. I mean, because we've all talked about that. How neat it would be to be on the island doing anything. I don't care. I'll run water. Take water out there. Oh, hey, you guys need some more water? Okay, here I go. Whatever I would do. Just to be part of it would be so cool. So anyway. Oh, who was that? That was somebody said Jacqueline. She said Billy just hired my son-in-law. Really? That's cool. Wow. So you got a connection. So you might see him on the island. Well, you'll have to let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to let us know if you see him, Jacqueline. Let us know about that. Yeah. And Marie's like, is that decoration? You're talking about the shovel that he's carrying there? It's pretty cute.
Decoration.
Tom said that shovel looks pretty clean. Yeah, it does. It's probably a brand new one. He just got it out of they just bought it at the store. They probably have a whole bunch of them are hanging around, I would imagine. But yeah, that's pretty funny that, so there's Marty shows up with the shovel and I think, oh, look, there he is actually using the new shovel. He's actually digging. And it was kind of funny because Aaron was like, yeah, well, we need to take all this mud and clay and stuff out of here. So just start digging over there. So he did. He got in there and started digging away. So that was pretty neat. Jeff the water boy. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Jeff the water boy. I would too. There's everybody over there working. And I think there might be a water bottle right over there. Maybe. I don't know. So yeah, I would. I'd run. Oh, you need some more water? Okay. Let me run to the truck and get that for you. Just to be part of it. I mean, just to be able to experience being on the island and helping out and meeting everybody. I mean, that would just be phenomenal in my opinion.
It's a part of history.
It is. And that's what's so exciting about it. It is a part of history. Absolutely. Well said, Jack. And then of course, Marty, he digging away down there and he finds this they call it a stake marker. Yeah. And obviously if it is, I mean, it would have to been broken off or something because it's looks a little short. I mean, I would have to expect that a marker, if they're using markers to show them the path of what they want to do in the road or something, it would be longer than that, wouldn't it? It was kind of funny.
That's what I would think.
Mm-hmm.
But if you find one,
right,
there should be more, you would think.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
to give you a line maybe of where things are going.
Right. Yep. And well, they did. And this is actually a picture of this was a picture we took from the, yeah, that was right. Yeah. It looks broken. So he said it looks broken, but he did say, yeah, he said, well, it's a nice steak. It's not like the steak I had for dinner last night. Then of course, Aaron, Mr. You could kind of tell how, obviously Aaron's been there all summer and you can see how he's starting to, get used to everybody and everything because he's starting he's becoming a bit of a humor guy, a bit of a jokester. He said, yeah, no beef about it or something. Or I have no beef with this. That's what he said. I have no beef with this. That's kind of funny. And then he finds one, and this is from the promo from next week's show. He found one as well. And again, it's broken off or shortened or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I would have to think that yeah, yeah. Jan said Aaron has no beef with that. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, those giant. Yeah, Sharon said those giant mosquitoes would follow you, Jeff, and yeah, if you're carrying water. Not only that, they'd probably carry me off. I mean, yeah. I think I've told you guys the story of when I was a kid and I living up in northern Michigan. I had the T-shirt that had a big round, and it had a big giant mosquito on it. It said Michigan State Bird. That was the giant mosquito. We had some big ones up there, and they will suck you dry. So yeah, so there's Aaron. He's got his he found one, and this is on next week. So obviously, it means that they were definitely marking out the road as it went along there. So anyway, that's pretty interesting. Some of the other things that they had found while they were in the swamp area, and this was, and I'll bring this picture up and show you real quick. The flying water.
The fly water.
Yeah. So they found what, and I think that Gary initially had mentioned something about this being a bearing. He thought it was like an axle bearing off of a cart, which makes total sense, right? I mean, here they got carts rambling up and down the this stone roadway here, and you're gonna break parts as you go along. And sure enough, it looks like one was broken here, and that's what it looks like to me. It looks like the outer race of a bearing, and the size of that hole in the center would be a good indication that it would have been on a large wheel. If this is a bearing race, it looks like you see that inside diameter right there. That looks like an axle, like it would have been on an axle of some sort, to me anyway. And there's a picture of the backside of it, obviously well corroded and not cleaned up or anything. But anyway, it may not be, but it kind of looked like a bearing, part of a bearing to me. Isn't that what you were thinking too?
Yeah, I was, and they gave it to Aaron. Boy, and he drew a blank on it. I mean, he's really just got to bag it, tag it, and find out what it is. He was not willing to commit either way to what it was, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah, me too. But that was interesting, though. We'll hopefully we'll find out. Hopefully, this is not one of those things that we see it once and then we never hear about it again. Because I'd really like to know what this thing is. And again, I wanted to mention this too, and maybe this is yet to come up. We've definitely got probably, what are we on? This is episode 17. I got to think that there's at least 5 or 6, maybe 7 more,
maybe 7
before the end of the season. I'm guessing 22 to 24 episodes altogether. So we got about 5 to 6, 7 more. So hopefully, remember when Gary found that lock? He said it looked like a paddle lock. He found it in the swamp.
Yes.
We haven't heard a thing about that either. That is, it's obviously it's already been taken to Carmen if they determined that it was old. If it turned out to be a master lock from 1963, obviously we'll never hear about it again. But that's hopefully this isn't one of those. And I would like to find out what that lock was, because it did look like it had squared off, flattened shank. The shank on the top of it was flat. It looked to me anyway like it was flat. That'd be more indicative of being an old padlock, but we don't know yet. We haven't seen it. So I'm going to take and throw our phone number up here too, in case anybody wants to call in. There's our phone number, and I do have the phone on. It is connected by Bluetooth, so we should be okay there. I know when Tom called in, it wasn't connected yet. It took a minute. But anyway, so there's the bearing that we think it's a bearing. And that's just a picture of the road again. And Rick, this was interesting here. And Ian Spooner had pointed out he out there that this particular time, and he pointed out that there was this what he called a fire pit or something, right? Is that
yes? It was.
He talked about the orange clay or the orange layer of dirt right there, and he said
orange layer of dirt was like a kiln almost.
Yeah, some sort of a fire pit or something he was talking about in this spot, which I thought was pretty interesting. Now, why would you have a fire pit unless you were just using it for heat? But I mean, why would you have a fire pit next to the stone road you're making? I don't know, and I don't think they really explained that too much. Yeah, Pam says a fire pit. Yeah, that's what he was saying. So I'm not really sure why that would be there. Unless they were maybe trying to help dry out some of the mud or something when they're building the road. I don't know. Do any of you guys have an idea on that? No, I didn't either. Tom says I didn't see the fire pit coming. Did you? No, I didn't have any idea. Keeping you warm.
I don't think Aaron did either. I think Aaron was just surprised as anybody else.
Yeah, Don said burning brush maybe when they were clearing this area out. They were burning brush. So yeah, maybe. Um Talking about the mosquitoes, Tom said, I seen marine mosquitoes. They were landing them at the Lauren Air Force Base. You guys make me laugh.
Bill Burr says a fire pit barbecue.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just reading some of the chat here. Saving things for big reveal near the end of the season. Jan says, "Yeah, I think you're right. The lock and the dating of the wood that Ian Spooner found in the money or in the swamp area over by the actual road that's there. He found some pieces of wood there that he said he was going to get dated, and we haven't heard a word about that either.
It seems like the last 2 or 3 episodes they have picked up pace. Definitely.
Yep. Yeah. So I want to see some of this stuff. I want to see what they got here.
They're putting a lot out there, but they're not giving us. It's like they're going to gather all in the war room at one time and do the whole thing.
Oh, let's see here. Okay, so Jenny says on the YouTube side, she says the first patent for a ball race was 1794. Are you talking about a ball bearing, Jenny? Is that what that is? Yeah, Linda Simmons also said to burn the brush off the trees they were using as markers. That's that may a signal fire, but to roast peeps, yes, to roast peeps. Yeah, definitely to roast peeps. Maybe that's what it was for. Yeah, but I don't know. That's a good points though. About the clearing of the brush. That's a very good point. They might well have that might be exactly what they were doing. Just like I do when I'm in the springtime and I'm clearing stuff out there. And burning up some of that brush. They could be doing the same thing. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Linda just reminded me that Robert Clotworthy said that they had filmed and produced 20 shows as of last week, and they thought there were going to be 4 or 5 more. So, yeah. So there you go. Sure. That's right. He did say that. I've forgotten. Thank you, Linda.
We're talking 6, 7, 8 weeks out yet.
Yeah. So we still have, like I said, if that puts you at barbecuing mosquitoes, if that puts you out at if we're at 17 as of last night, so and if we got 5 or we were at 20, so that would be 25 or so. Yeah. So yeah, that's good. I'm glad. I don't, because we start getting toward the end of the season. I'm like, no, it's almost over. We don't want it to be over, do we? It would just be nice if they would just start shooting, like in April when they start filming, wait a week and then show us what they filmed, wait a week and show. Yeah, I know they won't do it like that. That would be nice though. But anyway, so anyway, fire pit could be something, and something too. Talking about the stone in the roadway. Rick had mentioned when he was out there about the stones. He was looking around at the stones. This is when Terry was out. I think this is when Terry was still there. And he was looking at the stones, and he said something about the fact that these did not appear to him to be river stone, or I'm sorry, I was going to say river rocks, river stones, but or ones that would have been in the water on the beach. They were not smoothed over. They, because the beach stones have a tendency over years of, the storm house, being kind of smoothed over. He said these were not. So Jenny said yes. The thing with the bearing, yes. So ball bearing bearings were created around 1794. So that would have to be after the money pit was found in 1795. So okay, sounds good. Okay, so they were using a different type of a bearing on wagons and stuff prior to that. So okay, sorry about that. I jumped away from my train of thought there for a minute. But anyway, yeah, he was talking about those the stones coming from somewhere else. He was like, I wonder where they got these stones. So that brings up a good thought. Where did they come from? Where did they get all these stones? Did they get them from the money pit when they were digging it? I mean, I mean, that's an awful lot of stones, and the size of them, the bigger ones on the bottom and smaller ones on the top.
Yeah, I was always thinking what they thought was a serpent mound. There was maybe stones in there. Maybe there were more stones in there than what we thought at one time.
Could be. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe they were,
Because it was only like what, 500 feet down to the swamp from there, if I remember correctly.
something like that. Yeah. Yeah. It was something like that. Yep. Who said stones from the up? Oh, I got it covered up here. Stones from the uplands. That was Jan. Yeah, could be. The stones were not rounded, whereas beach stones are. Yes, exactly. That's what he was talking about. So where did they come from? We don't know. And hopefully we'll get some better answers on that before the end of the season. I think, I think that's probably about it for, they're going to find out where the road goes. I don't know how much more. Rick said that they all came from the uplands. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. And Jan said that too. So, and, obviously she paid more attention to the episode than I did. But yeah, I mean, a lot of stones, but it was taking an awful long time to come up with those. And then of course, lastly, they found the another rosehead spike. This was found by Michael John, was helping Gary at the time. And he's also, if I remember correctly, he's also with Billy Gerhardt's company.
He's with Billy's crew.
Yeah, one of Billy's crew. And so again, another guy that got to and he's found a couple of things, because he found another spike similar to this that he found on the wash table when they were going through the spoils from H8, was it? One of the
Yeah, they were going from the year before. They found it from the year before. They were going through.
So he found another spike that was there. So he's pretty good at finding these spikes. Michael John is. So yeah. Let's see. Tom said it would be nice to hear opinions from someone besides me on the phone. It doesn't. That's okay, Jeff. We'd love to hear from you. Bill Burns is the one that said the rocks were not rounded, whereas beach stones. Yeah, that was Bill Burns.
Right.
Thank you, Bill, for your input. Appreciate that. Yeah. So anyway, chocolate covered mosquitoes. I would eat one of those. I would eat a chocolate covered mosquito. Dark chocolate too, if it was now. So anyway, so rose-headed spike that they found. So that pretty much wraps up what was going on last night in the swamp. And then after that, I'm gonna head over to lot 25. So Rick and Gary head back over. Well, they were probably still there, but the show said, "Oh, let's go back over." So they were back over in lot 25 and doing some more metal detecting over there. And I do have a picture. I got this one here. And Diane, I did get some of these pictures from Diane. She's a member of our group there, and I've forgotten her last name all of a sudden. Diane she did take a lot of pictures she put up, and she gave me permission to use them. Thank you, Diane, for that. And I did get a few of them that you put up, and I appreciate that very much for letting me. And if Linda will remind me what Diane's last name was, so I can mention it and give her due credit, because I've forgotten. But anyway, so you got Rick and Gary over there and digging some stuff up over there. And the first thing they came up with was what was what they said was a copper coin. So, and that was pretty cool. I don't know. And they're going to get that cleaned up and get that dated, but this was on the Ball property. Okay. Muir. Is that Muir? Am I pronouncing that correct? Muir? Hopefully. So it was Diane Muir. Okay. And we thank you very much for letting me use the pictures that you took your time to take. Diana Muir. Okay. All right. Thank you. So, and again, thank you for that. So they found this coin over there, and they were checking that thing out. So that was, and Gary said because of its kind of its greenish tint, a greenie. Yeah, he called it a greenie.
Greenie.
Yep, a greenie.
1730 to 1740. He said.
Oh, did he? Did he? Yeah, he did give a little bit of a date to it, didn't he? Let's see. Looks like an old loony, the way things are going. An old loony. That was Tom. So they found this, and then of course, dun, 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 we have something that's brought up a lot of discussion in the group post and stuff. The You know what? I'm not gonna say. I did see in the group chat. We were all talking about this, and there were some pictures that were brought up that some were saying that yeah, it's just a lipstick case. But Gary was pretty. Kaluni is a Canadian dollar coin. All right, thank you. I don't know. I'm not going to go out on the fence because this has not yet at least to us. We know it got examined last summer, but we don't know what they've said about it. Now, it is possible that it is a lipstick case, but the thing that I wanted to point out was that we have not heard from the experts on this yet. And this type of symbol or diagram, this picture that's on here, yeah, Bill said a wax stamp, but we're not sure about that either, simply because of the fact that it's not flat, it's rounded. So I don't know. And again, I'm not an expert on stamps, with the insignia rings that they use for that. I thought they were always flat, but I could be wrong. Again, I'm certainly not an expert on that kind of stuff. So I'm not sure. Sharon said, can't wait to see that coin cleaned up. I know I'm the same way. Pam, before you put another notch in your lipstick case. Yeah, I remember that song.
Give me your best shot.
Yeah.
Oh,
Give me your best shot. Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah. I hope. Yeah. I'm with Lynn. I hope it's something important, and I do too. And here's something that I wanted to point out. This could be a dent, but if you look along the edge, check out this edge right here. Now, a lipstick case is going to be rather thin metal, right? Because they're not going to make that out of very thick. And again, I'm thinking about today's. They were metal for a long time, I guess. And again, I'm not an expert on these things, but they were metal for a long time, and then they switched over to being plastic, and now they're plastic. You really have too much of the metal ones. But look along this edge right here. Does that look dented or worn? A lipstick case is going to be rather thin metal. And this, I don't know, that looks worn down to me. It could be dented. I could be wrong, but just the way it's kind of, or I'm pointing over. I'm sorry. I'm pointing at the wrong picture. Right along here. You see that top edge right along this edge right here? It could be dented. And also down here along the bottom. This whole edge right here. I don't know. It could be a lipstick case, I guess, but I'm going to hold out saying for sure what I think it is, because the experts haven't seen it yet. And until they do, and give their
Doug had no idea. Doug couldn't find anything to match anything up to it.
Right. So, and then they talked about it being a cane topper. They talked about it being a swagger stick, which is what the guy would put on, the general or whatever, to walk around with a swagger stick and maybe whack a couple of privates on the back or something, or well, I don't know. But that makes good sense. And that was Gary's opinion. And we know that Gary is an expert in his own right with things, that he's been right on a lot of this stuff that he's found.
And he grew up in England also.
Yeah. So I'm going to hold out. I'm not going to say that this is a lipstick case just yet, because I don't know. I'm not going to do that. Right. Tom Burns said, if it was a modern machine made, don't you think that, I don't think Gary would have made such a big deal about it. I agree. Could that be not gold as Gary means first, but could that be not gold as Gary means first, but it can be copper? Yes. Oh, you mean on this thing here? It could be. I don't know. It'd be more green, I think, if it was copper, but I don't know. Lipstick case would explain why Doug couldn't find the exact crest in his book while he was researching, Janet says, because he was looking in old stuff. And if it were a lipstick case, it could be rather new, from the 60s or even the 30s, I guess the 30s. I don't know. We don't know. But again, I'm going to hold out. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon saying that it's a lipstick case just yet. I'm going to hold off on that because, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Linda just reminded me that Gretchen Cornwall said, she thinks it could possibly, be, the cab for a British officer's shaving brush, a cap for the shaving brush, or on the end of the brush or something. You're right. It could be.
Right.
So there's a lot of things as this could be. So jumping out and saying it's a lipstick case, I don't know. I'm really not sure. I know I kind of had a feeling this was going to bring up a lot of discussion tonight, because there was so much going on the website or on the group page about it. Wanda says all the seals, wax stamps I've ever seen while researching this were flat. Yeah, that's what I thought too, and that's what Linda's the one that really kind of brought that to my attention, because I wasn't sure about that either. And Linda had said that she was very sure that stamps were flat, and this is not flat; it's rounded. You can see that it's
a definite round, definite rounding around the side.
Yeah, so it's definitely rounded on the edges there. So, and again, maybe that what I was looking at along the edges there is simply that rounding, and it's just worn from being in the dirt for so long or whatever, and kicked around or what have you, or maybe dented during its use.
Like a cane would be, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Or some sort of a crop, or something like that. But anyway, so I'm going to hold out judgment on just what this is just yet. I'm not going to go on the fence to say, Chris F on the YouTube side of it says, could it hold matches to keep them dry? Yep. Yeah. But
I wonder if it does are true. They never said anything like that, Jeff.
I know. And I don't remember when did matches first come about? When were they first invented? I don't know. And Jenny said it certainly is the top or lid of a lipstick, in my opinion. Explains why it looks so long. Cane tips were short, and that's too small to be the top of a cane. And lipsticks lids can be sturdy more than you think. And you might be right. I might be all wet on my idea, but I'm just not. It could be. I'm just not. And it sure looked. I mean, we had that one on the picture on the side, and I even said, "Well, it looks like Laird was right," because Laird was the one, Mr. Raining on Your Parade, the popper of balloons and all that kind of stuff. But and he said, yeah, it's a lipstick. It looks like a lipstick case to me." He didn't say definitively. He just said, that's what he kind of thought. What crowns have 4 stars? What crowns have 4 stars? This is Nickel Mickle. What crowns have 4 stars? This one has 5. Is there not 5 in there? I think that's one right there. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5, I believe. Yeah.
The rose goes up between the second and third one, which is a lot like that lipstick case that we had on the picture there.
It's almost like a crest.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not, like I said, we're gonna.
How many ways can you go with this thing? There's a lot of different.
I know. Yeah, it could be. It reminds me. Let's see. Reminds me of the Ring from the 70s. We've done this before. Oh, as much as we love Gary, he's been wrong before. Yes, he has, Janet. That's very true. He has been wrong. Yep. And he is an expert in his own right, but yeah, he's made mistakes before on things that he's called. So okay, all right. So let's see. Yeah, that's true. All right. Let's see here. All right, so let's move on. Let's see. Well, I don't remember what I got for another picture here. Let's see. I was trying to get all my pictures in order, and I think I kind of messed up on my order there a little bit. But anyway, so that was those guys looking over in on the Ball property, lot 25, and the things that they found over there. From there, we head towards the money pit. The money pit. And the money pit is getting very interesting because they're really, really working very hard to find the exact spot of the money pit. And so I'm going to bring up this picture here. This was showing the map. And again, I've been working on my map and marking it, but this is a picture of the one that they had on the show. And I'm very, wanted to point this out, something on this map. And let me look at my next. Yes. wanted to show this picture here better because the pen's out of the way. Something about this map that I wanted to bring up, not only to show where they are. This is C 4.5.
Right.
It's right here's C line, and here's your 4 and 5. So right here is C 4.5. It's they dug this one, and then of course they had C5 that they had done prior to that, and then of course this one up here is your BC 5.5. They said on the show that they have been following this tunnel, finding wood, and about 80, what was it?
87.
87 feet. Thank you. Yeah, at 87 feet, and they were finding wood, and in these wells that they were digging. And the curious thing to me that I thought about, and when I saw this picture, and it dawned on me looking at this, is that you have the walk of these well drills that when they're putting them down, how they walk a little bit, and they make they end up going way over to the side. You see where this one walked right here. It walked about, I don't know, that's about a foot, maybe 2 feet. It walked up about 2 feet to the north, and this one walked quite a ways. Now, where did they actually, and we don't know by looking at this. They kept putting a gyro down to find out that that's how they find, where it's at down there, and the fact that it is walking. But where did they find the wood that they hit with these wells? Did they hit it somewhere in this area here in the middle of it? Is that their 87 feet and they went deeper? Or did they hit, or is this point here their 87 feet where they found wood and they went, I think they definitely went deeper on them. So I'm a little worried, and I think, and I know that Craig and Terry Matheson and when Scott's out there, Scott Margo, those guys, and then of course, and Steve Guptill too, that they're not going to make this mistake. But I thought, what, are they hitting the same thing? Because these two converged right here. And I'm going to have to say that this isn't their 87-foot level, that it would probably be somewhere over here that they hit that 87-foot level and hit the wood. And this one would have been somewhere in the middle over here where they hit the wood at 87 feet. But I'm thinking, man, I hope this isn't their 87 feet right here where where they both intersected, because then you're hitting the same structure, and you're not finding the structure continuing to move down the sea line here, which is what they were saying. They're following it. They said they're following it, and they think that maybe they're following it this way because this is their next borehole right here, and this is their BC4.
BC4.
I don't know. Anyway, I could be, again, that's one of those things where I could be all wet, but it just dawned on me that man, I hope they're not hitting the same thing, but they would be smart enough to know that and not. The
interesting thing I found about BC4 was that they found wood at 78 feet.
Yes. Thank you.
Not 87 feet. So if you picture it, is it going up toward the surface?
Right.
I mean, are they following that line where they're not going down anymore? Are they going to come to a point where there's an entrance somewhere that they have?
That could be, and it could be an entrance that had nothing to do with anything that they had found before, or a flood tunnel. Because I thought there was, I don't know if there were some mention about it being a flood tunnel before. It's collapsed because they said something about. I think Terry's very convinced that this tunnel that they're following is definitely a collapsed tunnel because they found collapsed dirt that's not compacted as much as the other spots. When they go down before they hit the wood, they're finding it being very compact soil and mud and clay, but it's very compact. Then they hit the wood, and then after the wood, they're finding looser material, not so compacted. So they're calling that a cave-in of a tunnel. But you're right. This one right here, which is your BC4, this is where they found a beam or something at 78 feet.
78 feet.
So are they starting to, and again, if they do another borehole, say somewhere over in like B3.5, B3.5, somewhere in this area, will it be even Shallower, right? Yeah, very good point.
I mean, it'd be nice to figure out where, if you can get to the entrance, you can pretty much trace it all the way through there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, if they can do that and they keep getting shallower and shallower all the way out, they can pretty much dictate where the opening was. And something else that I noted on that too was that Terry had pointed out on the show that he said this obviously would have been built by man, so it would have had to have been big enough for men to be in, which makes total sense, very logical. That if this was built by people, they weren't crawling on their hands and knees or on their belly to build this thing. They would have been standing in this thing building it. So it had to be man size to be
That's at
built
least
by
5
man.
feet, 5 to 6 feet tall.
Exactly. At least 5 to 6 feet tall, minimum, I would think. I mean, you could be bending over down there, but you couldn't imagine doing all that work on your knees or whatever. This was a artist rendition of the drill pipe going down through there and hitting the beam that they're talking about, the beam work that's on the roof of the tunnel that they keep hitting, and then they hit this area here. This open void area would be the collapse area. So up here above, they're hitting the more compact dirt. They punch through the beam, then they hit a beam, and then this area they're finding looser dirt and rocks and whatnot. So that would be indication of a collapsed tunnel. And with all the dynamiting and everything else that was going on, back in the Dunfield Destroyer days, and Dunfield himself, was doing his digging and dynamiting and everything else. He very well could have caused the collapse. We don't know that, but um,
It's something that got me what Steve said. I don't know if it was this episode or the last. They have done over 400 holes in that area, in that federal money pit area.
Talk about Swiss cheese.
That blew me away. I mean, wow. I mean,
that is, that's a lot. Now, was that all them or was that over the years of everybody? I don't remember.
They didn't say, but the number, when he said 400, it was like, wow. I mean, now you're talking a lot of time, a lot of effort.
Yep.
And not much result.
Oh, well, somebody's calling in. All right. Let's see if we can bring him up here and see if I can do this right this time. Oh. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Who do we got here?
It's Tom.
Tom, how you doing, Tom?
How you doing, Tom?
Good. I'm trying to get some other people to call in so you hear some other voice besides mine.
Well, I'm glad you did. No, that's great. I love when
that's great.
How you doing tonight?
Just great. Just a quick thought on this tunnel that they're finding down at 87 feet.
Yes.
Does it not seem a bit strange that it's not going down on an angle or up on an angle, that it's going, let's call it parallel to the surface?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. And that's what that is strange, because you would think that it would be going downhill. I would think, depending upon where it started from. If this would have been a flood tunnel, then if they were coming in from Smith's Cove, and then it would gradually go deeper and deeper and deeper. But you're right. They keep talking about the fact that they're at 87 feet.
So ponder this then.
Mm-hmm.
If it does connect, let's suppose that the money pit itself, that the depth of the money pit is actually a decoy, and that this is a shaft or tunnel running off of the main shaft to someplace else outside of sort of the Dunfield dig area.
Yep.
That's going to lead them to a separate location.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're very well.
Yeah, very possible.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm still kind of on board with the fact that the money pit, supposed money pit that the guys found initially, could be a decoy. I mean, you would think, boy, that was a big expense and of time and labor to get that done, to make a decoy, but it could very well be. And this could be leading them to where, something more important is buried. You're right. It could be. Now go ahead.
Exactly. It just didn't make sense to me that you would dig, if this is, going to date, if they're going to this wood dated, and it's going to date back to, say the time, before the 1759s or 1700s, 1600s, whatever.
Right.
That it's going to be, why would you dig a parallel tunnel to the surface unless you're going somewhere?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with you. That makes total sense. Yep. Now the one that the BC4, that one is supposed to be. They said they hit. Well, there is two things on that. They said they hit that one piece of wood, and I'm going to show a picture of it here. This piece of wood here that they found that they hit at the 78 feet, but they also did hit the side of what they're saying the side of a tunnel at 87 to 94. In that section of 87 to 94, they did hit, there was some small pieces of wood, and they said maybe they hit a glancing blow on the side of it. They just missed it. But you're right. There you are right back to that 87 feet again. So you're right. Why would this thing be parallel? Why would it be going parallel? That's a very good point, Tom. I don't know. I really don't know, unless it's an offshoot shaft leading to maybe where things really are, because they were talking about, weren't they talking about the money pit being down around 120 feet or something? Isn't that what they were originally thinking?
Rick was always saying go to 118 to 20.
When you hear different people talk about it, and you talk about the blanking shafts and things, that they want to get down to 180 and 200 feet. But then you get back to the old question of, why would you go that deep? If you're going to bury something of any value, you'd want to keep it above at least the sea level water table, or where water is going to leak in.
Yep.
So why would you go down any deeper than 87 feet? Going down deeper than 87 feet, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
Or whoever is sort of digging past your shaft or tunnel in trouble.
Yeah, you're exactly right. That makes total sense. Yep. Yeah, and somebody just said it was, Don Wagner said, or Wagger said, that's right, at the same depth as about 90-foot stone.
Yeah.
Yes, good point, Don. That's right, the 90-foot stone. And we know that the surface has changed a little bit because they added, but I think they're factoring that in, because they added all the dirt on there to make the make it so they could bring the crane up there with the platform and the hammer grab and the oscillator. But I think when they're figuring their depths, they're taking that into consideration, I thought. Because they know what the original, after Dunfield and it was all filled back in, they know what the level was at that point, and they've added on top of that. But I think when they figure 87 feet down, they're factoring that in, I think. But you're right.
And maybe, final thought for the night, maybe the message on the 90-foot stone says turn left here.
Yeah. And that's something that just kind of boils me a little bit, the whole thing with the 90-foot stone. And so many people have said, they're speculating what it says. Well, really, nobody knows what it says, because the stone's not around. I mean, we can't find it. It's all guesswork as to the symbols that were on it and having somebody decipher those symbols. So to say that, so whatever feet below there's treasure buried, I think that's a bunch of, I don't buy that. I'm sorry. I just don't.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard story to swallow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, guys, that's my 2 cents worth for tonight. So hopefully somebody else will call in with theirs.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
I appreciate it very much, man.
All right.
You have a good evening. Yep. Oh, see how easy that is? That's super easy to call in. So we just love to have other folks call in and talk about some of the stuff. That's really cool. And that's, again, I said this all the time, but that's why I love doing this, just because we get some great conversation going on this stuff.
That's how I first started on this show, was calling in.
Yeah, you did. You called in, didn't you? And you got trapped. Tom's going to get trapped one day, and he's going to be on here with me. And he's going to be on here with us and talking. We're going to get him on here. And one of these days we'll get Don to call in and Henry to call in, and anybody else that wants. The phone lines are open, or the phone line, there's only one, for you guys to call in whenever you want. Really cool. I love this. But that's why we enjoy doing this so much. I don't want to go there yet. Don't go there yet. Okay. So the wood, anyway, and again, the whole idea is for them to narrow down exactly where the money pit is, so that they can have it there for I think they're still going to do the big dig, and get that done. So hopefully they'll nail down exactly where the money pit is so they can do that. So
could they honestly, I was thinking this, with the swap of everything they're fighting, they're Can they finish the swamp this year? I mean,
I don't
with
know.
what they're finding every time we turn around, it
I
seems to
know.
be.
They pretty much have to exhaust it this season, though. I can't, just can't. I can't imagine them
I
keep.
can't see them draining it and doing it all over again, but
Yeah, I know. I mean, how many times have they drained it already? And they were keeping it drained all last summer. Of course, it like we talked about before, it was kind of a dry summer. So I don't know.
because if you go to the big dig, that's going to take a lot of manpower and time.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Definitely going to take a lot of time. Yeah, it's Dunfield. Janet says it's Dunfield. It was Dunfield. Everything is his fault. Yep. I know, huh? Stairway to tunnels, Pam says. Yep. Let's see. Bill Burns says if they are following a seam, i.e., coal seam, it would follow the coal, not an angle down. Yeah, that's true. If they were, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. If it was some sort of a level, if they were like pulling coal out of there, if they were mining for coal, you're right. They would follow wherever that coal
Wherever
went,
it went.
right? Whether it went up or down. Yep. Have they taken a core sample out of the swamp yet? I don't think so. Well, they kind of did back when it was full.
Mighty anomaly, didn't they? Go down?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly right. When they went out there with that floating barge, and with that had a drill rig on top of it, they did do some core samples there, but I don't know how deep they went. Maybe Linda remembers, or somebody, one of the.
I want to say 50, 60 feet, but I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah, it wasn't that deep. They didn't go down that far, and so those were some core samples they'd taken. Ian Spooner did some shallow ones where he shoved that apparatus that he has, and that was when Ian Spooner first showed up on the island. He was taking some samples from the swamp, and taking those back and analyzing the different layers of the muck. I'm going to call it muck, and he was analyzing that stuff, and giving him an idea of what that was. But Don Brent says it seemed like 30 feet or so. But yeah, I don't remember. They took cores with choice drilling a year or two ago. Yeah.
I just don't think they went deep enough to really figure out what they had.
Yeah, I don't think they did either, to be honest. They were hoping that anomaly that they were looking for was going to be a ship, and they'd hit wood just down just a little ways. But yeah,
You would think they'd have to go as deep as what they are up at the money pit to really get an idea.
Right. Linda says they went down 20 feet and hit rock and didn't go any deeper. Now Marty says they will need to go deeper. Okay. There you go. Linda in her notes. The swamp is around 129,000 square feet, give or take. Don says. Huh. Yeah. So the swamp is not over yet. And they're coming up with more theory. And again, like Terry was just saying, Terry Deveau was saying that, I was always under the impression that the swamp, that the road they found in the swamp is nothing more than a British. The British built it, and they were using it for their ships. But look where they're taking this road now. It's going all the way over to Tom Nolan's property. I mean, it's there. In that one picture I was showing, they're basically at his shed. They're at the almost at the headstone of the Nolan's cross. They're really well. They're south of it. I mean, they're still not. It's not the right angle, but they're almost at that headstone. So I know. Yeah, Marty will be so pleased. Yeah, I know. I think he's ready to. Well, he's now that they're finding stuff, he's got more energetic about the swamp. But you're right. That's one guy that
he does give his brother credit for being persistent on that one.
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, yeah, that's I had this one. Yeah, it was BC4 was where they took that last core, and that's this little artist rendition of the drill rig there. That kind of looks like the Lego. That kind of looks like the Lego drill rig that I've forgotten his name all of a sudden. We got a couple of the guys that do the Legos for us on the site. They're doing the Curtis. Is it Curtis? I've forgotten his name. I'm sorry. I apologize for forgetting your name. There's a couple different people doing those. When I was looking at this one, I thought that kind of looks like the Lego one. that he created a Lego drill rig. Anyway, so yeah, so let's see. Just a small corner of the swamp, lots to explore. I know. I wonder if Nolan's Cross was there when the road was built. I don't know. Could be. Shane Ross, thank you. Shane Ross, yeah. Jan says
Thank
Ross.
you, Linda.
Yeah, yep. Shane Ross doing his Legos, and those are cool. I mean, I just
look forward to those.
super cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Kind of give us on tonight's episode. We didn't get one of those. Did we get one today or yesterday for the show? He usually does it on the day of the show, just before the show comes out. But I don't remember seeing one. And Derek Pierce, yeah, yep, doing the Lego stuff. That's pretty cool. So I think that's about it with the pictures that I had for tonight. They ended up over in the I think the research center that you had. You were talking about the research center. Who was in there? Was
Gary and I got to find my notes.
Doug or Charles? Who was in there? Somebody was looking at that topper.
Gary and Marty.
Okay. Yeah, they were in the research center and they were looking at that topper and having a good look at that. And again, you would think that, man, if that was a lipstick case, I guess here's the thing. If the lipstick case turns out, here I said it. If that topper turns out to be a lipstick case from 1930, we'll never hear about it again, probably, right? So we'll know at that point that's what it was. But if they keep bringing it up, and if it's talked about it again, then we'll know it's not, right? So if we never hear about it ever again, then we could pretty much assume that it was a lipstick case and dated in the 1900s.
I know Doug Crow was really mystified by that. You can tell by the look at his face.
Yeah. He was looking at it. And again, he wasn't able to find it. It was Doug. Yeah. He was not able to find it when he was looking at the old, trying to research it, looking back in the old days. So maybe it was, I don't know. Yeah. So they worked on that. Let's see, that was there. And then, let's see, there's some of my other notes here. And they had that little filler, and I think this was just kind of a BS little filler, in my opinion. Cleopatra's lipstick case. Oh, that would be neat. Okay. Huh? Could still be a officer's swagger stick. Tom says, "Yeah, I think so too, Tom. I'm leaning more like that, but you never know. And maybe that, I don't know. I'm going to leave that alone for now until we get experts looking at it, I guess." But when they were talking about they had mentioned that little thing of the War of the Roses, in 1485, the War of the Roses between Henry VII and Richard III. They were talking about the War of the Roses, and so I don't know if that was a just a little kind of a BS filler that they threw in there to kind of get you to have something to think about, or what. But that was
Gary's the one that mentioned that.
Yeah, and then because he was talking about a riding crop or something like that. Interesting. But I think that, I don't know, sometimes they throw that stuff in there, and I think they just do that for a little filler for time or something, or give you something to think about. Anyway, who knows? Yeah. Kathy says, I vote lipstick case myself. Now I know it could be. That could be exactly what it is. I'm going to hold out on that.
They have to tell us one way or the other what this is, what chat is generated. I mean,
what was that? Say that again.
With all the chat that thing has come up with, they've got to tell us what it is.
Yeah.
Oh. I got mine today in the mail.
My Dr.
As you know, my daughter says they're good. I will try one tonight. But just so you know, it did arrive.
I've been getting pressure, for me to have one of these, and I haven't cracked it open yet. So maybe I'll try one. We'll see. Oh my goodness, I can't believe the things you people make me do.
Oh, I don't know. Linda said, you got a package coming. I open it up. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, and it's all Jan's fault because she started this mess.
Yeah, she did, but she does a great synopsis. Let's give her
I
all the
know,
credit
I
in the
know.
world
See,
for
if I
that.
don't eat one, then I'm gonna have to. Okay, so I'm gonna actually try one. I got it right here. I just took it out of the package. I'm not a. Don't be a weenie. I just don't care for Dr. Pepper, but. All right, that one didn't really. All right. Oh, there's the Dr. Pepper. Well, honestly,
No, Jan,
honestly,
you're not a troublemaker.
my eyes are watering a little bit. It's not, it's not as bad as I thought it would be, but they're probably gonna find the treasure in the money pit long before I finish eating this bag of jelly beans. Keep eating.
Oh,
That did not as bad as I thought it was. As I chances I made you cry. Yeah, I'm tearing up a little bit. Yeah, not as bad as I thought it would be. Honestly, I was really thinking that Dr. Pepper, because I just don't care for the taste of Dr. Pepper, but those aren't actually too bad. But I still think they're going to find the treasure before I finish that bag of jelly beans. We got these too. The Peeps. Now these are the root beer Peeps. I gotta have one of these. I'm definitely gonna have one of these. Anyway, as I'm doing this, I wanted to bring up the. You gotta have one too, Jack. You got some. I think Linda has some too.
even Linda has some.
Your turn. Oh yeah, I said your turn, Jack. You got.
I got the Peeps.
You gotta have a Peep. Oh, you okay? There you go. You gotta put one in the microwave. We gotta microwave these things, right?
Oh man, that's what's all over the microwave. What a mess. They're not too bad, really.
Really? All right. I'm gonna have one of these. I do love root beer. I love root beer floats, man. They are the root beer floats are the bomb. I tell you what, I can't.
I know around here all of our ice cream places are.
Oh, there's a ice cream place right down the road.
I'm just a sucker for it.
Oh man, and I go down there. My two favorite things are an root beer float and a hot fudge sundae.
Oh, hot fudge sundae. Talk about language.
Looking for a hot fudge sundae. So, all right. Ooh, there's the root beer Peep.
Not bad, Jan. Not bad.
No, I can't talk. Where's Gary? Now that's good. Now that I'm going to eat those. I'm going to eat that whole
There
bag.
we go.
I got to try one in the microwave. I'm going to eat one. I'm definitely going to
don't heat it up too long. That thing may pop real quick.
Boom! All over the inside of the microwave. I'll never get it.
Yep.
I have to throw it away. Ooh, that's good. I like those. Linda says, my grandgirls and I ate the box last night. They ate them all.
My daughter had one today. She opened up and says, oh, you bought those? I go, well, no, they got sent to me. And then she got, I should have done that. I go, whatever.
Those are good. I like those. I don't know about those Dr. Pepper jelly beans, but those Peeps are good. Oh, yeah, I'm not a big I got sugar. Look at this. I got sugar all over my desk now. I'm not a big sweets person. I don't eat a lot of. I do like chocolate, but I'm not a big candy bar fan or whatever. But anyway, getting back to the show here. This was on the promo for next week. And Gary, I'm really interested to find out what in the sugar high. Yeah, now I'm going to be.
Yep.
I'm going to be. I'll never get to sleep tonight. If I
okay, Tom, I'm retired. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you had a good experience today.
Yeah, I got my second COVID shot today.
Yeah, you got your second COVID shot today. So we weren't sure if Jack was gonna be here with us. Yeah, I won't sleep for a while. we weren't. Jack got a second COVID shot today, and we weren't sure if Jack was going to make it because we've heard that some people, not everybody, but some people aren't feeling too well after they get the second one. About 6 hours or so afterwards, they're not feeling too well. So we weren't sure if Jack was going to make it, but he's doing fine. He's looking at Mr. 6'4". Aren't you like 6'4" or something crazy?
6'8".
What are you?
Yeah,
6'4".
6'8".
6'8".
6'8".
I'm 6 foot tall, so you're, yeah, okay, yeah, big
But
guy.
anyway, I came through. Knock on wood. So far, I've come through pretty well.
I hope you do.
I'm
I
a little,
really hope.
I'm a
I hope
little
you do.
achy, and my arm is sore. But other than that, I've been
Great.
fine.
Yeah. Well, you're sounding great. So I hope you. Oh, somebody said they get theirs next week. Who was that? Oh, that's Wanda. Wanda says I get mine next week. All right. Well, there you go. So there's your example. There's Jack doing just fine. Yep. I am too. Don said he's glad you're doing well with the shot, Jack. So
I
yeah,
took some of his advice. He said to drink a lot of water, and that's what I did all day. So.
Yep. And you should be allowed to go anywhere you want now. You've had them both, so there you go.
Yeah, but I have COPD, so I'm still careful with what I do.
Yeah, I know, and you really have to be, unfortunately.
I mean, we haven't gotten herd immunity yet, but I'm doing well. Thank you very much, Jeff. And I know Linda's was in contact to make sure I was going to be able to do this.
Yep. Yeah, we're just glad you're here with us
because
tonight.
she didn't want to.
I would have had to explain to everybody, where's Jack? Well, Jack got a second COVID shot. And he's not feeling too well, but here he is. He's doing just fine. And anyway, we're about ready to wrap this up. It's been about an hour and 42 minutes or so that we've been on. So yeah, nothing like a shot of Jack.
Oh boy.
Oh, nice way to turn that around.
That's right.
Jack got a shot and he got a shot of Jack. All right.
That's right.
So anyway, there's Gary. Find this thing. What is he holding in his hand? This is the promo for next week, and he's holding something, and it looks like it's relatively heavy because he's like doing a curl there with it. And and then we saw this picture, and then we saw the next picture, which was Carmen taking a look at these things. Now, what in the world?
I cannot figure out what that is. I saw that promo, and I'm baffled right now, Jeff.
Yeah, I don't know either. And of course, they didn't really give us much explanation except for saying that the way it was apart, whatever this thing is, I think was it Doug that said something first about it being an explosion or whatever coming apart, and then Carmen Legg said it had to have been a big explosion to rip this thing apart. Whatever this thing is, it had to be a good size explosion to blow it apart. What in the world do you guys think this is? Wanda said she's 5'3" and dated a guy that's 6'7". They look like Mutt and Jeff.
Oh, I know done that.
Yep. So, what do you guys think this thing is? I don't know. I mean, I'm really curious to find out exactly what Carmen has to say about this thing next week. This was in
it looks like it has a lever or something on the top there.
Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely that piece on the end that he's holding right here is kind of flattened out.
Yeah.
And then this piece, of course, is flattened. And then it's got this little heel right here on the bottom of it. I just don't know. I can't, just from these three pieces like that, I can't make heads or tails of what this could possibly be. I don't know. Sconces? I don't know if it's sconces. But I don't know. Looks like parts of a wheelbarrow. That's what Jenny said over on the YouTube side. She said it looks like parts of a wheelbarrow. Yeah, and that you're right. It could be. They asked how it broke like that, and Carmen said it was a blast, an explosion. So whatever this thing, like an ore cart, part of an ore cart or something, maybe. We don't know what material. I mean, if they took it to Carmen, you can almost bet it's made out of iron,
wood,
steel,
or wood.
Well, it could be wood, right? Yeah, it could be wood. But going with that one picture, and then again, it could still be wood in his hand right there, but it looks like the way he's gripping it and holding it, it kind of looks like maybe it has some weight to it. So, but a good chunk of wood, it's oak or something, could definitely have some weight
Yeah,
to
it looks like they found it in the swamp.
And Gary found it, and he's holding his metal detector he's holding his pin pointer in his hand. So again, that's leading me to believe that it's metal. But Gary's found wood in a hole when he was looking for metal, and he found some piece of wood that was very interesting. So don't know, but we get it. We're going to find out what this is next week in the show next week. So anyway, something to look forward to for sure. Part of the frame, yeah, could be. Looks like part of a big lever, yeah, it does. And the way he's holding them there, he might be showing how it would have been put together or something. I don't know. Parts of a ship. That's what I'm hoping, Cam.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's parts of a ship because that
If
would
it's in
be
the swamp, I'd really like to know where they found it at.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll find out next week. I hope. I'm pretty sure they're going to show us on the show next week. So you can bet we're going to be talking about this next week, and hopefully we'll get some dates on some things too, or a plow. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jenny said it could be like parts of a plow. Never know. It could be. Let's see who said this. It said Tom said no idea, but I do know British brought in miners and engineers to blow up sections of Louisburg. Maybe they were practicing or doing some other kind of explosive work there too. They only took wood casks to him because Carmen also is also copper and is also a copper and makes barrel casks. Yes, that's true. Yeah. Carmen has farm tool experience in general. Yes, he does. So
they took
anyways,
barrel tops to him. Is what they took
yeah,
to him.
yep.
That.
And in those rings that go around the barrels to hold them together, he's talked about that before, making those things. So interesting. So anyway, so we'll be talking about this for sure next week and get a little bit more information about it. So anyway, so that was a pretty good show. I'm pretty glad that we got through as much of it as we did. And before we wrap up tonight, I wanted to just kind of give I know I've been doing these little shorts where I come out and kind of talk about what we have coming up on the show here in the future. And again, I want to reach out and say thank you very much to Terry Deveau for coming on last minute like that tonight. I mean, it was just literally a half an hour or so, maybe an hour before the show started. And I reached out to him and he said, yeah, I'll come on for a little bit. He said he didn't have much time because he's in the middle of a lot of research right now, which is, great to hear about, but that was really cool of him to come on, wasn't it? I was just amazed that he just jumped on there and said, sure, I'll come on for a little bit. So, but this week, and I wanted to say this again, I made the announcement on the site. We kind of talked about this before, that we wanted to have certain theorists and special guest co-hosts from some of our members coming on the show as well, to come on and help us out here. And so next week, we are going to have the show on Saturday. I said next week, tomorrow. We are going to have the team of Carl Cookson and Hamilton White on the show. And they're from the Lost Relics of the Knights Templar on the Discovery Channel. I've been watching their episodes. They had 5 out. The first season had 5 episodes in their first season, and they are on. I've been watching them on Discovery Go, and really, really cool. Well, I reached out. Actually, it was Linda had mentioned it, to reach out and ask Gretchen Cornwall if she wanted to come on and co-host, because Gretchen's got her knowledge of the Knights Templar exceeds anybody that I know for certain, way beyond. And so we reached out and asked her if she would like to come on and co-host. Jack is going to step aside and he's going to play chat. He'll be in the chat.
I'll be watching.
So many pictures. We're going to have 4 people, and that's the only reason. And Jack said sure he would step aside and let Gretchen come on. And so Gretchen
has so much more knowledge than I do on this.
Oh, yeah. Well, way more than me too. It's going to be fun. I cannot wait. I mean, first of all, having Gretchen on, and then the guys on from Carl and Hamilton coming on. This is going to be great. I'm so excited about the show on Saturday now. So I really gotta be on my toes here, because I probably won't have much to say. I could probably just kick back and watch and listen, because I got a feeling that Gretchen's gonna be she'll be the main host and I'll be the co-host. Just filling in a little color here and there to as we go along. But I'm really looking forward to it. I hope you guys can make it. If not, of course, you can watch it after the fact, of course, on YouTube and on our Facebook page. They're there in our links up at the top of the page there. You can look at you can go back and catch any of the videos there as well. So, but anyway, this should be really good, and I'm really looking forward to that coming up. And I hope you guys don't mind me doing the little updates, the little promos of our coming events for the live stream. I hope you don't mind. Sit back and have some jelly beans.
That's what I might do.
Yeah, I get that. I can already feel that peep working on me already. I'll never get to sleep tonight as it is. But anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you're here with us on Saturday. I think it's going to be a fantastic show. I'm really looking forward to it. And thank you for Gretchen for coming on with the show. Like I said, I think it's just going to be wonderful and very exciting. So anyway, folks, thank you so much for being here. Jack, thank you so much for filling in and being here as my co-host. And
my pleasure, Jeff.
Yep. And Jan, thank you for your hard work and doing that synopsis for us. And Brenda working on the maps and stuff. And of course, Linda Simpson, we couldn't do this without you. So thank you very much for all the hard work you do. And folks, we'll see you on Saturday. And I hope you guys can join us and be here for this. I think it's going to be a wonderful afternoon. Until then, you guys have a great couple of days. All right.